Chimele and Mark Anthony Nze. Good morning. It's good to have you on the show again.
Fine morning to you. It's a pleasure.
Yes, so I'm tempted to ask, how do you feel being on the show again? I like when I have authors come repeatedly on the show because it tells me that, okay, we have authors who are working on their feet, who don't just write a book and then we don't hear about them in years to come. It shows that people are constantly aware that, okay, we need to keep putting things out, if not for anything, at least to remain relevant in our society today. So it's a pleasure having you again on the Arcade.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's get down to the business of the day. I called you the content master because you now at the moment have like 2 books on content that I'm aware of, right? The first one on content marketing and this on publishing, which still revolves around content. So in the present situation we are now, where everyone on social media or everyone on the internet claims to be a content creator, would you agree to that statement, or do you believe that anybody can be a content creator?
Well, that question is a little vast. I'll try to narrow it down.
Okay.
What we are doing now, if we have a way of documenting it together, it becomes content. Content is anything that is valuable and insightful. So you could be talking to yourself, provided you're making sense, it is content. Now, not all content can be monetized. So that is why we have a lot of people who call themselves content creators, but do not understand the nitty-gritty of, what it entails. You cannot just do anything and call it content. Does it make sense? Does it solve social ills? Does it solve a problem? That's what makes it a content. So yes, they claim to be content creators, but we don't have people. If it's not making sense, it's not content.
So would you say skit makers are content creators? Because now, from what you said, is it solving a problem, and is it making sense? To be honest, you watch some kids skits and you're like, okay, yeah, it causes you to laugh, but it really doesn't make sense in the sense of it, right? So would you call that content? And we have a lot of it, skitted all over the internet today. Someone just wakes up tomorrow and decides to do a skit. In fact, there's this guy that, I don't want to call him an influencer because he's just nasty, on Twitter. And then all of a sudden, a video drops and he's into skit making. And I'm like, seriously, what's all this? So would you call that content?
No, I will not, because we are playing by the grand scheme of the Chinese. The Chinese who brought TikTok know we have so much time to waste. In fact, if I tell you the truth, TikTok is almost banned there in China because they have so much to do with their time. So they felt, what can we do to, these people have so much time to waste, let's create something for them to. So the thing is, many people waste their time on the internet. They call it content, but it's not solving a problem. It's not giving a definite message. It's not changing a course. There is no, consciousness to what you're doing. It's just time wasting. And at the end of the day, time is the unit of life. So if you waste it and have nothing to show for it, it's just what it is, a waste. So answering your question now, most of the things we see make us laugh. But is there a conscious part of it? Is there a message behind it? Do we go back and then reflect and then change the course of the way we live our life? That's what content is. Content is supposed to touch you in some kind of very direct way. So by my analysis, you find out that yes, we laugh, but it's not doing what it should. So it's not content in the right definition of it.
Wow. So the fundamental thing about content is solving a problem. Whatever it is you're putting out should be able to cause a change or first solutions to something.
Exactly.
Wow. All right, so let's dive into, I think I already even entered the first chapter of the book, which is content, the first step to publishing. And there's a question here that says, what is quality content? So I think I should ask that and also give you the chance to put into perspective, those factors or those things anybody that calls themselves a content creator should consider before they say that, okay, this content or this thing I am doing is content and content indeed.
Okay, when the question is what is quality content, and first of all, what we call quality content is something that addresses the problem a reader goes for it. I mean, you take up a body of work, there are certain questions in your mind. when you pick up that content, is it solving that problem? Then secondly, does it achieve a measurable purpose? Okay? The purpose your content is aimed is to meet something measurable within a period of time. I would want to digress a little. I was a merchant for one of the cosmetic products, and many women wanted to, remove their blemish and all of that. And I wanted to be sure the product was solving that challenge. So the content I was going to put out to advertise that product must capture the challenges of these women. And sometimes I told them, the kojic acid in this will activate your natural skin, your epidermis, and then you will begin to, heal from the inside and all of that. And that was the big icing on the cake, because they connected more. You said this is going to work under 7 days. You see, not just that I was telling them that this is going to happen, I was also telling them that there is a specific measurable period of time you will achieve it. So you see, they will be attracted, because and where it gets there's going to be a problem is if you give them those time frame and it doesn't work, you only sell a bad product once. So I think I should just cut it. But there are lots of them in the book. What makes it the quality content is, can it be measured, and all of that, and what I've just said.
Can it be measured? What problems is solving? All of this has a way of, shaping whatever it is you're bringing out eventually.
And sorry, I was going to ask, is it compelling too? Okay, there's some content you consume, and it does not drive a CTA. By CTA, I mean a call to action. It doesn't make you to do anything. But when you consume any content and it pushes you to take action, then yes, it is a quality content. Is it readable? Is it legible? Some people blow grammar. And then you carry them on a mental journey that they're asking themselves, what is happening? But the point is, when they can consume this thing, it makes sense to them, and they are pushed to act, then you can say this is a quality content.
So are you saying that such quality content or content in its entirety is only meant for business purposes? Like it's only meant to sell a product or sell a service? You can't just put out content without necessarily wanting to cause people to buy anything?
No, you can. Possible? Yes, let me explain. It depends. Actually, before you start your creating a content, the result should be clear in your mind. When the drummer is drumming, the intent is for you to move your feet. He knows from the inside that as soon as you sashay your body and move your feet, he has gotten you where you want. So you can create a content which is supposed to lampoon the ills in the society. So you're trying to make them, understand better what is happening around them. This content makes them think. You can create a content that spurs reaction. Go and get your PVC. Go and those content. There is a CTA. It's not that it's not business. You're not selling a product, but you're asking them to take the civic rights and do something for themselves and change the hegemony of things. So you see, it depends on what you want to achieve as the content creator.
Wow. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, buy this cream, organic cream.
Nah.
That's what we have abound on Instagram, especially. You see celebrities, especially celebrities who even sell some products that I think should be considered illegal. Yeah. They tell you, you have to use this, and then people rush to the comment section, how much is this, how do I get it, and all of those things. Content does not necessarily have to be you selling something. And I think we also need, as a society, to shift our attention, maybe a little, from wanting profit from everything we do or put out on social media to real positive societal change. For example, what you mentioned about asking people to go get their PVC, yeah? I know some of our celebrities in Nigeria have been doing something in that regard, but more people coming out to do a video, whatever it is you're capable of doing, maybe write a short story or do an ebook, just to encourage people to go out for their PVC, right?
Yes.
That's also a call to action.
Exactly. And that's because when we get it right with the people who are leading us, every other thing about our life will be affected. Yes.
All right, so moving on, I'd like you to take us through the process of content creation, and how does it lead to the eventual final bust up of publishing?
Okay, the process of content creation, first of all, the quality of the information you're getting. the environment around it. Secondly, the quality of the presentation, the quality of the writing, and finally, you also have what I call the end product. Now, before you start, there's a place of research. It hurts me that a lot of content lack that didactic expose, that didactic, delving into things. You don't just go and write. Some people who have written a lot of things before you, erudite, iconoclast, people who have done a lot of things. So you go, look at what they've done, see if you can take a cue, expand the discussion, because that is what it is. It's not knowledge is a continuum. Okay, so when you're bringing your own premise to it, you make the body of work robust. When people read you, they understand that yes, there's a research. This person has, there's a book also. We'll be talking about that much later in front of you, and then it has to do with even meeting some of the old people, so I can know what I'm talking about. So when they look at you, they're asking, "How old are you? How do you know this?" I know this because I've gone to ask people before me. I've gone to, antiquity. I've gone to libraries to check. So when I come out with a submission, it is robust. So what I'm talking about is the quality of the information you're getting, then the way you're going to present it, and eventually what you're making, the content you're writing on. I think that is how you, before you now begin to submit eventually what you're doing.
Okay, let me take your thoughts on copyright. So I've observed a lot that in this part of the world, especially, people just carry stuff and paste as theirs. In fact, there's a group I use this example a lot because it's hurtful for me because it's the group that's supposed to be of learned people, right? And this guy constantly goes on social media. Unfortunately for him, there are always contents that I've seen on people's pages, on Twitter, on Facebook, and then he copies them, brings them to the group, puts his name
on it
as the writer, and it pisses me off a lot. The first time he did it, I called him out, and he still continued. So what he did after that was he would just not put anybody's name.
Okay.
And then he did it again. I'm like, what does it take you to write the name of, just put the name of the writer there? So I realized that in this part of the world, we just think it's not necessary. What's there? Everybody. So what do you think about that? People just copying and pasting and claiming it's theirs and not seeing anything wrong with it.
Well, I'm going to dissect this in two ways because I've also been a victim. Wow. Where I see my own work and then it comes back to me as somebody. I feel that if you're very creative, you will not pay so much attention to intellectual theft because at the end of the day, there will be a separation process. When they give themselves that hype to the point that they are called, they fall like a pack of cards eventually because they do not have it. But I'm going to also come from the part that if they continue, they can have real litigation issues. They can have real problems for themselves, especially.
Do we really sue people for copyright?
No, in Nigeria, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things that's not going right in this country. One of the reasons why you have people copy other people, or what we call plagiarism, is what I call mental laziness. Because everything is around you. You can coin it. And when you understand also that when you do these things, there are different apps. I take your article to Grammarly, I take your art to some, I will know where you got it from. So you just go through the pain of, and remember, there's no isolated thought. So your thought could lead to mine, and somehow our writers could be similar. But there's always going to be this level of disparity, which shows that you are unique and distinct. So if you see the way I'm looking at it, first of all, as a creative, if you pay so much attention to who is stealing your work, you might not churn out something. Somebody stopped writing because they were stealing her work. And I told her, when you close your eyes not to see bad things, do you see the good things going around? So that is for those who have stopped. Then secondly, understand that at some point, they meet their Waterloo. Because it's a crime. Intellectual theft is a crime. And if what they do is go about taking things from people, it won't be a long time before they meet the long hands of the law.
I hope so. Because what people usually would say is even if I don't copy, another person would have. And then as a creative, even if you want to take it up, you want to think about, okay, do I even know how many persons have copied? Except if it's very, very in the rare case or a big brand, I don't know if you followed this trend recently of this comedian Sabino
Yes,
that
I know.
sued
Huge.
a
I
milk brand for copying his work. So maybe in that case, because it's a big brand, yeah, I can sue them. It's going to be out there that I sued this brand to use my work. But for
But
normal Facebook posts or
Exactly.
even a book, you write and then somebody just wants to write it, but they just copy it.
What if I tell you so there's an interesting thing happening now? I have somebody who lifts my post from LinkedIn and come on Facebook to paste. It's been recurring, but it's a friend on LinkedIn, but not a friend on Facebook. Now, like I said, it's been going on for a while. It is the same people who caught him because somebody reached me. Are you and this guy? You people, who is the person copying each other? I know you don't do this. I said, I don't know. So when I found out, I wasn't even the one who called him out. Everybody was going to his page and said, this is Onyeka's work. This is Onyeka. And then I came there and like, my guy, this is my work. You know. And at the end of the day, was embarrassed, took it down. And that was enough for him to know I can't continue this anymore because I don't think he has done that again. So some punitive measure will come structurally like that. People will fix some of this problem. But one thing I said I want us to take home is that it's mental laziness not to write. You're a creative. So you go into the insides of your head and churn out something.
So for persons who probably do not know how or probably do not want to, take that time. Now, I feel like you can still take other people's work because, like you say, nobody's an island alone that. But acknowledge.
Yes.
What do you think that's a good thing? I mean, acknowledging that this thing that I've written here or this post on my wall is not written by me, but by this person,
Exactly.
just add the person's name.
There is this thing I call this tiny megalomania when you own it and it's yours. They don't understand that you lose nothing by another candle lighting another, by making people go to that person and check out their page. You become a channel that expands the creativity cycle and all of that, if you know what I mean. So people want to, I don't know, it's an African question. It's an African challenge. The Caucasians don't do this thing. Easily they tell you, Onyeka got this. I got that from, like the book we're talking about today was written by a professor in America, Absolute Business School in London. And then we came together and said, let's churn out something on publishing. Let's expand the scope. So there is no one person, and he sells on Amazon with a different link, and I sell on Amazon with a different link. Wow. And there's no problem. So you go to him, he is the author. You come to me, it would have been somehow if I just put my name there as the author, maybe because I have more pages or because I wrote more. No. So the idea is to understand that you lose nothing by pointing to another creative person who's in charge.
Wow. But I hope that will bring in some sanity. So because of our time, let's move quickly to simple steps to self-publishing a book. While I was introducing him, I said that gone are the days, because I remember studying book publishing as a course in school, and then my lecturer tells us all the processes that involves publishing your book. First you have to write your manuscripts, and then your manuscript has to be edited some sort before you take it to the publisher, and all of those processes. But now we're hearing about self-publishing. How is that possible?
Well, things have changed, times have changed. Instead of going through all of those hazards, I call them hazards because it's bureaucratic. Somebody might tell you that they are doing something and then you have to wait till they have the time. Things have changed now. So at the confines of your home, you can churn out your book and go to some of these channels to share them and sell. So you can be the beginning, you can start the process and end the process. Unlike you having to join a group and then they certify some of these things. Although there are still mediums through the publishing outfit where they check the veracity of what you're pushing out. They check how viable it is. They check if it is even copied work and all of that before they publish. But what I'm saying now that you are at the end of the process. You are at the beginning and the end of the process. So self-publishing simply means you write and then you publish and then you sell. So there is there is no bureaucracy. You don't need to take permission from anybody. You are part of the process from the beginning to the end.
For the purpose of the show, can you give probably one or two platforms where one can do such things, self-publish your book or your content?
Thank you very much. You can self-publish on Amazon. Amazon seems to be the mother bird for everybody. But I tell young and budding writers not to use Amazon because it is a big name. But where's your money? At that point of relevance, you need all the money you can get. You want to be not just that I'm on Amazon. In fact, what is raining now is bestseller.
Amazon bestseller.
Yeah, that's another. And you see, you can only deceive yourself for a while. You're not deceiving anybody. If the importance you wrote that book so that the quality of your life can change by sharing adequate knowledge, why not go to places where you can get the best out of it? For the purpose of this show, I want to call names of some of the outfits in Nigeria who aren't really representing the interest of writers. I pushed my book in one of the outfits, and I found that I was being ripped off. Okay, there's a number of sales you need to make before you get an amount, and if they find out that you've gotten, maybe they tell you 10 sales before you get such and such amount, they might delay it. So you have to be tracking it yourself because of all of the problems we have in this country. But I can tell you, if you go on Seller, I have my books on Seller. I wrote my book today, published on Seller, and then it began to make money for me. I have a new book there on Seller. So I just introduced Seller. There are lots of them. There are Okada books. There are lots of them. But for the purpose of this show, I wouldn't want to start calling them. You also, as a writer, must be careful not to just put your book anywhere. Okay, I think I should. I put my book on Bound Books, and sometimes I'm saying 30 naira for a book.
30 naira?
Abysmal, yes, because there is no check. There is no way to know how it is doing.
I thought that you put a price on your book.
See how it works. They tell you when they flip the pages, money comes to you. So you do that, you should earn more because it's there at the others. But then there is no way to check. So if I give you 500 naira, it's 500 naira. So let us have a body that really caters for budding writers because this is how they exploit them. You are there, you've done a very good job, you've pushed it together, research well and all of that. Now, at the end of the activity, you want money because that's actually what you want to monetize what you've done. And then somehow the process is being shortchanged. Maybe because you cannot really ascertain what is happening. It's the problem of most young writers today. And they can conquer it by asking some of the questions I'm asking now. And also understanding that it's their body of work. They're entitled. A laborer is worthy of his wages. Yeah. So go check out how to do it. Then look at all platforms that is more convenient. For now, I just called one or two. They can push on Seller. Seller is good. They can
how credible should I say? How credible would you weigh Seller? Because I see it's like becoming one of the
generic. That is if you listen to me very well. I said it's a constant thing for the writer to check, and his interest is the number one thing. Okay, these outfits are there to make money. So sometimes they may employ some arm twisting tactics just to get what they want. If possible, if you get so fed up with the relationship, why not create a landing page of yours and sell your book on your website? So sometimes it's because hosting a website for some of these budding writers may be too much work after writing due to the expensive nature of it. I'm being real with them. This conversation is as real as it can get. Yeah. So let them, since they don't have that money to create a landing page, or they can even do something, there's a creative way to do it, get a generic link, generate a link from your WhatsApp, put it very well, and then let people come into your WhatsApp and you control the sales. Yes, and that is how you can also make more money than leaving it out there for people to shortchange you and all of that. So there are always ways to do it, but if you're not asking the right questions, you won't get the right results.
Wow, that's very interesting, and I think I should write a book already.
Of course.
I've always had that premonition.